Now entering Nerdist.com.
Hey everybody, it's Razzle here. This is, we thought we'd put together a nice little mashup episode showing our year in review. It's kind of cliche, I feel like a lot of people do this, but we thought it'd be fun. And this is, a way to show appreciation for all of our old listeners and all of our new listeners, and a way to showcase some of our favorite facts and some of your favorite guests. So we compiled a mashup of sorts with we got David Krumholtz and Jason Ritter. We have Henry Rollins. We have Jackie Kashian. We have Ryan Sickler, Andrew W.K., April Richardson, Julianne Smolinski, and Seth Green. All bits and pieces and chatting it up with some facts and jokes and laughing and good times. So we appreciate you guys for sticking around in 2014, and we look forward to having a great 2015 with the year of flying cars, hoverboards, and shoes that tie themselves. It should be a fun year. I know we had a previous fun year, and we just want to thank everybody for sticking around or for joining us and for listening. We appreciate your ears and your clicks and views and all of that sort. So thanks again for having a wonderful 2014, and have a happy new year, and we will see you in 2015. Happy New Year, and enjoy. Thanks.
Gentlemen, let's broaden our minds.
Recently, there's no rules, no pressure.
Yeah.
Just a little fun fact, or something about yourselves that that you're obviously not 39.
I'm not 39. That's true. I learn things all the time. But what did I do?
I learn things all the time too, and I can't remember anything.
I can't remember anything.
Maybe a Snapple fact.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah.
You go first.
Well, one of my favorite things that I learned about,
Absolutely.
even though I learned about it years ago.
Sure.
So if everyone who knows about this don't think I'm an idiot,
I
just saw this, but
I'm not very smart, so it'll probably be news to me.
But there's that fungus that grows out of an ant. They climb up. An ant climbs up somewhere high.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And this fungus springs out of their body and is released into the atmosphere.
Okay.
And it goes into more ants' brains, and basically it does mind control on them. And if the colony of ants know that one of their guys has this fungus in their brain, they'll try to get it as far away from the colony as possible. And it shows these ants rubbing their antenna and looking all like they're being driven insane.
Oh, wow.
And eventually they have to crawl up to the highest place, and then they die, and then the fungus grows out and starts all over.
Oh, wow.
It's called cordyceps.
Cordyceps.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
hell is up with
horrifying.
that?
They actually
And snails too.
Yeah, and they made it was
The
like
snail.
it was the reason. I don't know if you guys are familiar with this video game that came out recently called The Last of Us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
Love
was
that
what
game.
was cordyceps. That
The
same
clickers.
fungus is terrifying.
Now
that was what
humans.
was like a modified version of that is what was turning people into flesh-eating monsters.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
My friend was like, "Hey, what should I play? The Last of Us or Grand Theft Auto?" And I was like, "You should play Last of Us first. They're both great." And he tried, and he was like, "It's too scary. I can't play it." he's a grown man.
It is
I'm gonna have
very
to check
It
this
is
out.
a terrifying
scary.
game.
Yeah, look up zombie snails too.
Oh,
'Cause
really?
They have antennas that are all they're all swollen, and you see the worms in their antennas
What?
pulsating, and it's all.
I don't want that.
And the snails are like, "Oh, I gotta get out of here." It's really creepy.
So and then it affects it
Speaking of really creepy, I got to get out of here. You just scared the hell out of me. God,
so
that's freaky.
So the fungus will infect the entire colony,
Yeah.
or just one, and then
No,
it leaves.
just one or two, and then that they get it as far away as possible because
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
know that the fungus will be released again, and the further away that dead ant is, the better
Yeah.
for the colony.
Oh, wow.
But I'm sure it can affect a number of them at a time.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it spreads out and just releases spores.
Oh, wow. That's wild.
It's really
So-
scary.
It's really scary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's hard out there for an ant, as
Yeah.
we learned
Yeah,
in that
yeah.
movie with Woody Allen.
Yeah.
Ants.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
It's like moms who shit on their kids, like literally take shits on their kids, but like smear their kids with their own shit.
Is this a?
I didn't see
thing?
that episode of Arsenio.
Oh, okay.
Is this
something that just happened in my family? You want to hear my thing?
Yeah.
So I learned years ago. No, so I did a book report on Barute Galdikas, who
Okay.
is the Diane Fossey, Jane Goodall of orangutans.
Okay.
Her name is Barute Galdikas. She lives with them. And part of my discovery
Did you
was
say she was the Bob Fosse of orangutans?
no, the Diane Fosse. The Bob Fosse of orangutans is an orangutan named Bob.
And he can
He
dance
just
like
dances
nobody's
like,
business.
and he
Dunstan
choreographs.
from Dunstan checks
Yeah,
in.
Yeah, that's him. Sorry, I interrupted.
You know what? That's a stereotype, Dan, the Dunstan reference. I'm speaking on behalf of the orangutan culture.
Not all
Identifies as
orang-
chimpanzee
That's
American.
really not okay. Yeah.
That movie very upset that race.
But here's what's cool about orangutans. This
Yeah.
is a fun fact. So, if you go, they are the only great ape. So you got who are the great apes? You got the baboon.
Yep.
You got the chimp, the bonobo chimp. Two different.
my favorite.
And gorillas and orangutans. And there's two different kinds of gorillas, right? Two different kinds of orangutans. If you go up to a chimp, a bonobo chimp, baboon, or a gorilla and kick them or punch them or hit them, you will get crushed immediately. They will strike back. Their instinct is to fight back immediately and hurt you and kill you, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Orangutans are the only great ape that take the beating. They take the beating. You can slap the shit out of an orangutan, and they will act like they're abused. And when you least expect it, like weeks later, they will fucking crush you.
Oh my god.
That's amazing.
Wow.
Yeah, they remember and they like log it like that. See that dude right there? That's that dude that hit me.
Yeah.
No, not yet. No, not yet. Not yet.
That is
Give
terrifying.
it a week. About a week. When he least
Amazing.
expects it, I'm gonna rock that guy.
I love
Did
it.
you find this out by Googling what apes can I punch?
I'm not sure it's even find outable. Someone told me when I was doing the book report, and I don't. Or maybe it was in the book.
Yeah.
That is wild.
Like
Yeah.
somebody at some point figured
Yeah.
that out. Some camper or whatever found out the hard way.
It's because they're sensitive little vindictive little
Yeah.
creatures.
They leave
It
a
was-
series
it was
of
a-
And they're not
aggressive
little.
notes.
Yeah, exactly.
It was a science experiment where they got 6 people to all punch a different kind of thing.
Yeah,
5
yeah.
of them died immediately.
We'll pay you
It was like, dude, check it out. You can actually punch orangutans.
Yeah.
We'll pay you
Five were
$50
ripped
for the
limb
day.
from limb.
These 6 died weeks later of mysterious causes.
Yeah, exactly. We found an orangutan hair in the...
Actually, the sixth died. The sixth never died, but someone who looked a lot like him.
Was attacked by an orangutan.
Yeah, we
That
found
guy
an orange
kinda has-
hair and the brake line was cut.
Exactly.
Yeah. So you can punch an orangutan if you have a twin.
Yeah.
That's the key.
Yeah, if you really want to have your twin killed.
Yeah.
Do it in
Yeah.
disguise.
That would be a great, I mean,
I'm telling you.
like you see all of these Law and Order and things like that. That'd be like an airtight way
It's
to do
an
it.
episode. It's an episode of Law and Order.
Law and Order ZO.
COO. That's right. This has been fun. Thanks, guys. Bye. Oh, we're
And
still
that was
going?
our
Sorry,
5
I
minutes
thought we
on
were done.
monkeys.
Now, one would say we're a fan of cheesy segues here. One would say that people who smoke marijuana would enjoy ice cream. I would say maybe, right? I don't know.
I don't know. I've smoked pot once in my life. It didn't make me want to do anything but wait it out. I hated it.
But anyways, we'll get into this. A little ice cream fun fact here. Prior to Black Flag, you were in a band called State of Alert, and during your tenure of State of Alert, you were a manager. From what I've read of a Haagen-Dazs.
Yeah.
Now, we got some fun facts about Haagen-Dazs ice cream here. Haagen-Dazs was established by a gentleman by the name of Reuben Mattis in the Bronx, New York, in 1961. Haagen-Dazs started with only 3 flavors: vanilla, chocolate, and coffee.
Nice.
And the company opened its first retail store in Brooklyn, New York, on November 15th, 1976. Now, fun fact about the name Haagen-Dazs is it's Danish sounding, but it means nothing.
No,
Prior,
completely fabricated.
it's completely
Yeah, it was
fabricated.
to make it sound like it was
High
of,
end.
yes, like exotic European ice
Yeah.
cream.
It was $1.35 a scoop. People would come in with their dates, and you see some high school kid with his date, and you want to say, dude, you might not. I go like, make sure you look at the board. And they would sometimes turn around. I go, thank you. Turn around and go to another ice cream place I won't name.
Yeah.
Where it was way cheaper, of course, less quality, but
Yeah.
where a guy in 11th grade could afford that.
Yeah, exactly.
Because he came into our place, and all of a sudden, his dollars aren't talking to us.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he originally, the gentleman Reuben, from what I remember reading, his family had another ice cream parlor, and they weren't able to compete with the other ice cream parlors around town. So Reuben had the idea of making like a higher end ice cream, which he branded with the Denmark sounding name and it foreign marketing as they call it to upsell the product and
make it exotic.
Yeah. It's funny because reading here that in Danish they don't have any umlauts yet. There's one hanging out there over the A in Haagen-Dazs.
Yeah, it's complete BS.
Yeah.
But thankfully, the product is really good.
Oh yeah,
so good.
I appreciate that coffee was one of their original flavors, and not strawberry.
Okay, and just not to bang on because it's not all that interesting to your listeners, I'm sure. But one of the reasons those are the initial flavors is they're the hardest to make. In that real vanilla ice cream, the way you can test an ice cream company is by their vanilla. It's one of the hardest flavors to make, and a lot of companies will use vanillin, which is artificial vanilla, and they'll pump it up with sugar. But real vanilla ice cream, like Haagen-Dazs, they use vanilla extract, which is it's a very expensive extract, and the Haagen-Dazs ice cream is kosher. It goes through a very rigorous process. It is stirred to cooling to ice cream consistency over a very long period of time. Ice cream is sold by volume, not by weight.
Really?
And so when you buy the cheap ice cream, you buy that big box of it, and it's like a beach ball. It flies out of your hand.
Okay.
Where you buy Ben and Jerry's, a very good product.
Yeah.
Or Haagen-Dazs is like a brick in your hand.
Yeah, it's dense.
Because it's stirred slower, which lets more air escape. And it gives the ice cream a more smoother consistency. And so when you buy this product, you're actually getting more ice cream for your dollar. So where it might be expensive at the store compared to another brand, you are actually getting more ice cream, and you're getting a product where the actual ingredients, like the chocolate and the coffee and the vanilla, is like real coffee, real vanilla, real chocolate, which is not cheap. And that's one of the reasons I enjoyed working there, because we were not selling crap.
Yeah.
And I worked at a pet shop where there's different levels of animals you can buy.
Yeah.
Like there's the good vendor with the healthy fish and the healthy rodents and all. And then there's the guy who sells you like the ones with the scab on its leg, and you're like, we would buy those because our pet shop was cheap. And we have these animals that were not healthy, didn't look good, and you're like, wow, we're selling B grade, C grade animals, and it's a cruel business, the pet shop. But I was a kid, I worked, it was up the street from me. But I was kind of selling less than good things to good people, and as I became a young man, I couldn't do it anymore, so I sought other work. And working at Haagen-Dazs, we were selling this great product, and the reason I became head manager is I was the guy who figured out, if you're going to sell a product which costs a minimum wage hour of work for 2 scoops, that place better look like you could do surgery on any flat surface. And I would go and routinely clean.
Oh, wow.
And I became a shift manager, then the store manager. Recently, across the street at Mr. Music Head, I had Sam frame my last Haagen-Dazs T-shirt, and now sits in my office framed. Because I never want to forget where I came from.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's really cool. That's really neat. I didn't know that about ice cream, and that makes sense because you see those like big 5, those big gallon or the 5-gallon things or whatever. And
For 48 cents.
Exactly.
But it is what it is.
Yeah.
You mentioned the cheaper alternative to Haagen-Dazs, but if you can't afford Haagen-Dazs, there's an even cheaper alternative. All you need is bananas. You can make ice cream, completely vegan ice cream, dairy-free, just using bananas. You take bananas, you freeze them for a couple hours or overnight, then you take them out, put them in a blender, and then they're going to look like a little crumbled and smashed. If you keep blending, eventually it turns into this sort of like creamy ice cream-like.
Puree.
Yeah. So it's a nice little substitute. But this was all just an elaborate segue to get to our next topic, which is bananas. Which
I think about them, you think about them,
Yeah.
America thinks about
Your
them.
questions answered. So according to ChiquitaBananas.com, your one-stop shop for all things banana-related, bananas do not grow on trees. They're actually a giant herb. And the word itself comes from an Arab word, banan, meaning finger, or banan, I'm sure, is the closer pronunciation. An individual banana is referred to as a finger, and a bunch of bananas, not a bunch at all, it's called a hand.
Let me ask you something.
Yeah.
Say I was to give you a banana right now.
Go on.
And you're hungry for a banana.
Oh, I think I know where this is going.
Okay, well, hold your tongue.
Yeah.
No, really, hold it. Okay, how would you open it?
I would peel from the top.
Right where the stem is. You peel it back, put your thumb in, crack it back. Okay,
Yes.
How do gorillas open bananas?
Don't they go along the seam, or just they snap it in half?
They have been observed pinching the bottom, popping it open, and easily peeling back, which is the way I do it now.
Oh, man. I need to watch more. I need to watch more gorillas in action. Improve my fruit game.
Learned that on the internet. They said,
awesome.
take a tip from a gorilla.
Exactly.
Well, okay.
Yeah. And are you getting better banana-based results?
I'm getting immediate access to that banana.
The ease of consuming bananas.
Tear down this firewall.
Get in my stomach. Well, speaking of animals, you also hosted Animal Underworld on Nat Geo Wild.
Yes.
And I was doing some. I was looking at some of the stuff there, and you were holding a bunch of snakes. So I have a little snake fact here that I didn't understand because I always see snakes with nostrils in cartoons and even in pictures and all that. But apparently, snakes smell using their forked tongues, and they use their forked tongues to collect the airborne particles, and then they pass them through their vomeronasal organ and their mouth for examination, and that's how they can That's why they keep their tongues constantly wagging, because the
more you agitate them, the more they come out. Like when they wake up, all of a sudden this tongue is out. Who's that?
Yeah.
Are you friend? Are you foe? Are you food? Are you a mate? Are you a rival? They're checking you out. And some snakes, rattlesnakes especially, when they're getting real agitated, they'll just stick their tongue out and let it sit. And they'll pull it in real slow because they just want to figure you out.
That's wild. That's so fascinating to me. And because they're forked, they can go in like multi-directional to see their
unbelievably evolved animals for something that Mother Nature's basically phasing out.
Yeah. That's wild. So I read that and thought,
what was when you were filming the show, was there any animals you were just like, I don't want anything to do with this?
Well, we shot one scene with a buddy of mine named Tim. Tim injects himself with wet black mamba venom.
Oh, my God.
Dendrospis polylepis, the black mamba. And I have handled green mambas before, but never a black. That is just, for me, a nightmare. That is a waking nightmare with scales. And I'd never been around one where we're going to actually pull it out. The hottest snake I'd ever been around per drop toxicity would probably be a taipan. And we pulled one out of an enclosure in Florida, but he was kind of rather cool. So he wasn't all that active, but we had him outside, me and this handler. And by the time we were walking him back, he was getting room temperature and he's getting a little lively. I'm like, man, let's make haste. Because that's a bad bite. That'll stop you.
Yeah.
But the black mamba is fast and smart and instinctively aggressive and will bite you more than once. In fact, there's reports of them biting everyone in the room. They'll bite anything that moves.
Oh, my God.
And one bite will, you'll never buy pizza again. And so Tim says, okay, you get the back end, I'll get the front end. So we get the back end of the black mamba. It's like 8 feet of thrashing anger. I'm having to pull him out as he is regulating a sliding glass door against the snake's neck. So the snake is pulling out slowly, but can't turn around and get out. So he's riding the glass door, and I basically have my hands on the snake. Or even though I'm doing the door, I got one hand on the snake, and I'm riding the door with my fingers, sliding glass door. And then he's getting ready to grab the head. And we did it. But the thing is like thrashing like you with a whip. And the thing is crazy. And I'm sitting there with this thing smacking me, the tail smacking me. It was all on film. You can watch this. And it was one mad moment for me because it's a snake I've been studying since like 6th grade.
Oh, wow.
And there I actually have a handful of it. Thankfully, not the business end. That's Tim's great expertise. And he extracted some venom. He milked the snake. We put it back in barely. You kind of immediately throw it in, slam the door shut. He goes right back to the door, tries to get out. And he injected... He syringed up whatever the amount was, basically like a drop or so, which would kill the 3 of us.
Oh, wow.
And he injected it, and we just sat there and watched him. We're like, did that just happen? He starts sweating. The wound, the injection point swells up. The swelling goes away. The sweat dries up. And his kids and his wife came over. Hey, honey, how you doing? And he was completely normal.
Oh, my God.
And I said, that was the most amazing thing because this venom, I'm not kidding, it will kill you.
Yeah.
Like if you did that right now, you'd be out in a couple of minutes and maybe a heart attack or collapsed lungs inside of 5.
Oh, my
Wow.
goodness.
You would not, without treatment, you would not survive.
So is Tim a superhero, or does he built up a resistance over time?
He's built up a resistance. And there's another famous herpetologist, what's his last name? Haas. Bill Haas, Haas. He did it in the 50s and 60s. I think he's still around. He might have passed away. But basically, Tim is doing that. And so that Animal Underground show allowed me to go to some pretty interesting places, hang out with some really awesome animals, and learn quite a bit. I got to eat rats in India.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they're pretty tasty.
What were you hesitant to eat rats? Like how?
No.
No?
Nah, it's all right.
Was there, what was the...
They're free-range rats.
Oh, good. From the Whole Foods.
Grain-fed. Well, there are rats caught in your rice patties.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's literally grain-fed.
Right now,
Of course, lying there with a hole in the sheet too. I'm also interested.
That's good.
That's a
that
nice
could be
one.
hot too. Depends what the
My
thread count
Orthodox
is.
Jewish upbringing that never happened.
It's exactly right. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. You know, if you got a good thread count, this is a fact I heard recently.
Thread count.
2 days ago from somebody. 2 days ago from somebody who works in the sheet making industry.
Yeah.
Apparently, anything above 400 thread count is a scam.
I believe that
Yeah.
because I bought a 1,200 thread count because I had been sold a bill of goods.
Bought it
I'd
like
been-
a gas station parking lot.
Or so, I don't know where the hell I got it, but it was just take it for a buggy ride because these sheets are not comfortable.
Right.
I have recently bought a 330, and they're
Yes.
like the Weston. It's like
Yes.
it's like living
It's a dream.
in a pile of mashed potatoes.
Yes.
It's the most glorious sheets I've ever.
Fluffy whipped mashed potatoes,
Yes.
not like a mushy.
Totally whipped.
Yes,
Yeah.
indeed.
Yeah,
Yeah,
this is
whipped
not-
almost like an ass during sex. It's so similar.
Right. It's like
Yeah.
it's like almost like lying in someone's ass.
That's exactly right. Like a nice squishy ass. Apparently, the sweet spot is 250 to 400 threads, so you're
Okay.
right in there.
Okay,
Well, I mean,
330.
at
And
some
above
point you
that,
can only-
they just double it over, and it's like it's just a technical
thicker-
trick.
it's a thicker
trick. It's
sheet,
not
yeah.
actually that many threads. It's a trick. They double it over on top of itself.
Yeah.
It makes it in fact coarser.
Yeah.
I
Those
believe it.
1,200. I don't even like doing them.
And also, fun fact: you shouldn't buy your bedding in a gas station parking lot.
No.
They
Again.
often sell them, like where you
Right.
sit by Lakers T-shirts, and they'll also have like
Right,
sheets.
some knockoffs,
Trucker
and then you
hats.
want to say, "Hey, why's the tag cut?"
Right.
And they say, "Oh, that just happened."
Why do these
No,
smell like
no.
gasoline? These just happened. Yeah.
Yeah, turns out it didn't just happen. Turns out those are seconds in a regular.
Yes.
So who wants?
We were talking about hunting and Cabela's and forests and all
Yeah.
that. This is
Oh,
an
yeah.
interesting thing.
Oh, yeah.
Every now and then we'll have like what groups of animals are called on the show here.
Oh, right.
A flock of ravens is called an unkindness or a conspiracy.
Just the greatest.
Which is
that's
kind
just
of
the greatest.
which is kind of interesting because when I'm reading this, it's saying a flock of ravens when it shouldn't it say a conspiracy of ravens.
It's called a conspiracy.
Yeah.
And that would be an ultimate conspiracy, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
You know,
Hiding the origins.
This just
Yeah.
feels like a lot of people hated ravens,
Yeah.
and whenever they showed up, they were like, "This is an unkindness is going to come upon us. This
Yeah.
is there's a conspiracy
I wonder
somewhere."
what the I couldn't
Edgar
find
Allan
what the
Poe
origin-
haters.
Yeah, I couldn't find the origin of what that was on the internet. It was just
I'm
on
sure
the,
it was
like the dictionary
witches.
or whatever. But
Probably.
I thought that was pretty interesting. It was
Some
very,
lady wanted to have her own business in the 1600s, and
like-
ravens really liked her.
Yeah,
And then
ravens-
all of a sudden, it was a conspiracy.
This is true. Yeah, and ravens seem like they would be attracted to witches, don't they?
Right. Well, or you'd make them a witch once it was
Yeah.
some woman who wanted to have her
Well,
own business.
I mean, they're
True. True. A woman
That
wants to
does-
own a business.
she is a witch.
She is a witch. Let ravens bestow an unkindness upon her house, and the conspiracy is solved.
Boom.
Boom.
Now we know how to get rid of
She's
that
a
one.
witch.
Exactly right.
Yeah, so
Quoth the raven, nevermore, witch. That was the original
Nevermore.
draft.
That was the draft.
and we're actually we're talking about the football team, the Ravens.
The Baltimore Ravens, yeah.
Baltimore
They're a
Ravens.
conspiracy of failure. I don't even know if they're good or not. I don't really follow football.
Jackie, you're from South Milwaukee, Wisconsin,
Hold your applause.
right? And
It is
here's
east of the city.
Here's a fun fact about this. South Milwaukee is the headquarters of Bucyrus, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, International, formerly Bucyrus Erie, known for constructing large shovels and dragline excavators. Now,
That is not current
that's not current.
because Caterpillar bought Bucyrus Erie.
Okay.
Or which was Bucyrus International, which was just called BE.
Okay.
And everyone in South Milwaukee worked at BE except my dad.
Okay.
Who sold siding to everyone who worked at BE.
Oh, so he
It was
still
a nice
had a
union
great,
job.
What kind of siding?
Aluminum siding.
That's like
and
that's
vinyl.
just
Actually,
standard siding.
vinyl is final. Steel is for real. I'm not even kidding.
That's
My
what they're
father
saying?
had. Those are
God
some
damn, that's
sayings.
awesome.
Yeah, it's
Wow.
pretty great.
And
Yeah.
aluminum is for leftovers.
Aluminum is that's your low end is what
Sure.
you want to do. But you want to get awnings, you want to get windows, you want to get doors, you want to get some nice roofing.
Yeah, always.
You talk to LA Education, he'll hook you up.
Is that right? Is
Yeah.
he still doing it?
Oh yeah, he didn't plan for retirement.
Interesting, smart. Yeah, yeah.
so stupid. Well, we were talking about beds and twin beds. You mentioned. Let's here's a.
You get some good bed facts.
No, but it might be on this one. This page right here, I think. It's called the IKEA effect. Now, IKEA, everybody knows about IKEA. They sell furniture and they sell all sorts of, they sell delicious meatballs and all that type of stuff.
Your mileage may vary on the flavor of those meatballs.
Yeah.
I've never had them. Have you actually ever had them?
So good.
I've had them.
I heard they're good.
I've had them. My problem is that IKEA stresses me out more so than I think any place on the planet. It's just it's my personal hell. And I don't mind looking at furniture. I can look at that all day. It's just the people there.
Yeah.
Just want a fucking throw rug, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, you need to walk through. It's like
trying to get my floor and staff.
IKEA is like it's like
where do I get a table lamp, man? Just, where the fuck is that?
It's right past the Florence, dude.
You can take the shortcut right here through bedding.
Yeah.
And they're all like weird names too. Like none of it's not like a table lamp. It's like a Schneikman's lamp.
Yeah.
I'm looking for the Ivasanka. Am I saying that right?
Oh, see, this has an accent mark. You wanted an umlaut.
The IKEA is like when you go to like Six Flags and they have like you're waiting in line to get on the Batman ride and they make you walk through all of Gotham City.
Yeah,
that's like IKEA. Like
You're
there's
right.
no shortcut. You need to walk through.
You gotta
the
walk
whole
through.
fucking
You do,
place.
dude. You have to walk through the whole fucking place. Yes.
Before you fight a crime, why not stop and marvel at the docks?
There's a cognitive bias. According to Reddit and Wikipedia, there's a thing called the IKEA effect. The IKEA effect. And it's a cognitive bias that occurs when consumers place a disproportionately high value on products that they partially create. The name derives from the Swedish manufacturer and furniture dealer IKEA, which sells many furniture products that require assembly. Now, for those of you that don't know, a cognitive bias is a pattern of deviation in judgment whereby inferences about people or situations may be drawn to illogical conclusions.
So basically, what they're saying here is that if you had a hand in building something, if you had something that's like some assembly required, you feel more of a connection to that. You place higher value on it. So you build your crappy $20 bookcase, but you're like, well, I'm going to hold on to this forever because I had to put this together, and that was such a pain in the ass. I had to spend blood, sweat,
I had to
tears,
take an
and time.
Allen wrench and foreign fucking instructions.
Exactly,
to figure this
just a
fucking
little,
thing out.
like a little editorial cartoon of a guy like, how do you put this together? That makes sense. I get that.
Yeah. That was pretty interesting. I mean, it's essentially kind of like, if you have a boss or whatever, and he doesn't like your idea that you bring him, but he's got a shitty idea and he likes his idea better.
Yeah.
Type of.
You also have written down here a sort of tangential to this IKEA effect. It's called the well-traveled road
this
effect.
This is an interesting effect.
And this is something that happens to me all the time in LA because you have to drive around pretty much every waking minute here. It is the underestimation of how long it takes to travel on very often traveled routes. And then you overestimate how long it takes to take less traveled routes. So you'd be more willing to take a place that's going to be riddled with traffic because you've taken it before and you know where it goes and you know it connects you from point A to point B than by taking maybe a bunch of surface streets or cutting around it. And it makes sense. It makes sense. You're used to taking the routes that you know.
I'll tell you what, this happens to me so fucking much in this town, is you take the routes you know, and it's like you're teleporting because you're so used to driving a certain route that you don't even pay attention to where you're going. And next thing you know, you're where you're supposed to be, and you don't remember
Can't recall
anything.
a fucking thing.
Yeah.
I do that a lot in the morning when I get up and drive, too. I just blank. I drive by feel, and then I'm like, I don't remember the last 9 exits. I can't even fucking think of the sign or anything.
No.
I've been using, and I don't know if they're a sponsor or not, but I've been using the Waze app. Do you guys use that?
We don't.
I've used it before.
Dude, let me tell you something. It is a lifesaver in Los Angeles. It's shaved 20 minutes one way off of each commute. And the other thing I really like about it is I like to move. Even if I'm going to be 40 minutes in bumper to bumper or 40 minutes moving, I'd rather fucking move. And it'll take you. And a lot of places like FedEx and UPS, I believe, do this where they're engineered to make right turns only because they're safer. And it'll try to do that for you as best it can. So Waze has been really fucking awesome to check out. Plus, there's other routes on there, too. So you don't have to take the most travel. Like
it gives you some options.
Yeah, and you can find new ways. Like when I first moved to Los Angeles, I was a runner just early on. And I would
was one
always
of those
ask,
as well, for
like,
a visual effects company.
there you go. So I would work for post companies, and I was like, well, does this need to be there right away? And they'd be like, no, you can take your time with this one. I never used a Thomas guide. If they told me I could take my time, I would just go a different way.
Rack up the mileage.
And, rack up the mileage. And then I'd be like, oh, I'm at fucking Sunset. I know where I'm at now. And then I'm like, oh, that made it that way. So I've learned a lot of little byways.
When I first moved here, I just printed out a stack of resumes. I would choose a neighborhood and just drive around it and like walk around and explore. And that's honestly been the best way. Like, unplug your GPS if you have time. Just take a drive, explore. You'll figure it out. You'll get home eventually.
If you're new to any city, I mean, this for Los Angeles, this implies to us. But if you're out there and you're moving into any city, don't use your GPS. Don't use your phone. If you're going to look up where you need to go before you leave your house, and then just go on an adventure, because that's the best way to learn every route in your city. I also, when I first moved out here, I worked at a visual effects company as like a runner, and I delivered so many things. And that's how I learned my way around the town, is just by driving. You know, that's the best way you can learn how to get to and from places and vicinities and parts of town. And the next thing you know, you start going into close vicinities, and you're like, holy cow, these are right next to each other, when you don't really realize that, because not all of Los Angeles is on a grid system. There's a lot of slants and souths and angular streets. And
but if you're half decent within directions in Los Angeles, you're pretty set. I mean, you figure you pass something, just go around a block, and you're coming right back around to it.
You might get turned around, but then just carry a compass.
I didn't know that comic books were actually still printed.
Yeah, they're bigger than ever, especially now that there's so many superhero movies at the box office. It's huge.
Let's just go with that.
Yeah.
Well, here's a fact. Andrew, it's no surprise to your fans, as well as if our listeners don't know about you. Andrew's a huge fan of partying. He's an advocate of partying, and he's a huge advocate of pizza, as am I myself. I love pizza.
Who's not a pizza advocate?
Well, some folks.
Some folks don't like pizza. You have a pizza guitar.
That's right.
And also, you were raised in Michigan.
That's correct.
Much like myself, I was raised in Michigan. I was raised in Bay City, Michigan.
All right. Bay City Rollers.
Yep. They are from Switzerland or Scotland.
England.
And they threw a dart. I don't know if I mentioned it on this podcast, but they threw a dart at a map, and it landed actually on Bay City, Michigan.
On Saturday night.
All
right.
But anyways, back to Michigan and pizza.
That's right.
The Domino, this is a little fun fact about the Domino's pizza. The logo, the Domino's pizza logo has 3 dots, because that's how many stores there were in 1969.
Oh, no fooling.
Yeah, they planned to add a new dot for every store that opened, but that was quickly scrapped as the franchise grew super rapidly. It was in 1960, Tom Monahan and his brother James purchased Dominic's, a small pizza store in Ypsilanti, Michigan, near Eastern Michigan University, and that was the original Domino's Pizza there. Then in 1965, Monahan renamed the business Domino's Pizza Incorporated. In 1967, the first Domino's Pizza franchise store opened in Ypsilanti, and the company logo was originally planned to add a new dot for every new store, but it fucking blew up, and they just kept it with 3 dots. They kept it there with 3 dots.
Can I respond to this?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Because I've been ordering a pan pizza every single night since last Thursday.
Okay.
I was telling my friend, my bass player, actually, I'm playing a rock and roll band, and my bass player, Blake, he loves pizza, as so many of us do. And I was sort of, sharing my trials and tribulations, my struggles with pizza, my joys, my triumphs, and my sorrows, and I've been hung up. I've been strung out on this pan pizza that Domino's invented. I don't know if this is news to other people, but to me, it was a big deal. Now, we all remember, I guess like 3 years ago when Domino's said, okay, we suck.
Yeah, we're sorry.
And and they apologized for it.
Yeah, they did.
And that was very radical advertising and marketing, so we understand that was just a trick, and we fell for it, and that was fun. But then they actually chose to, even more recently, make a new pan pizza. Now, I, like a lot of folks, said, what's pan pizza? What's the difference between a regular hand-tossed pizza? It's not deep dish. It's just in a pan.
Really?
Yeah. So it's it's a buttery crust. It's very flavorful. It only comes in size medium.
Okay.
Which means if you want the amount of toppings you would normally get on a large, ask for extra toppings. double cheese, obviously for me, double pepperoni, double sausage, anything you want.
Yeah.
It is deep, but it's not too chewy.
Now, is it round as well, or is it is it a square?
No, it is round.
It is round.
Yeah, we're not.
Does it?
This is not Little Caesars. Please.
Also
please.
from Michigan. Also,
Please.
also,
This is not carry out.
also
Yeah, that's
founded in the Detroit area. of
That is
Michigan.
true. That's
Oh,
true.
there's a great area for pizza.
So it's round. So
evidently.
Domino's has hand tossed round pizzas and pan. round
It's
pizzas.
shaped like a circle.
Okay. Now, which one do you prefer?
Wait, what?
Do you prefer hand tossed or
No, pan pizza. Yeah, that's
Pan's
the whole
the way
thing.
to go?
Pan pizza is. I'm caught up.
Yeah.
So does it combine? Would you say it combines the best elements of hand tossed and deep dish into one Henry Clay-like great compromise?
I don't really know what to say. All I know is that if they heard us, and they probably will have,
Yeah.
and they probably are, talking about this, then I will get that extra $10 taken off my next order because
Yes.
they told me to talk about that pan pizza. So
Just use the offer code Andrew WK.
it is, it really is good though. And I got in this situation where, I'm trying to hold out.
Yeah.
That's my lot in life at this point. I'm holding out.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to. I don't know. Like a lot of your life can be striving for things.
Yep.
Going for goals and trying to achieve them. And right now, I'm trying to hold myself back. I've almost overshot at being a human, or just.
Yeah.
Or at ordering pan pizza. I guess that's.
You're too good at ordering pan pizza.
You exceeded
Whoa,
expectations.
life! I gotta slow down here.
If there is one thing that I can say I've done very well at, it is picking that phone up and ordering that delicious pan pizza. And I've done it every night, and that's the problem. So
Yeah.
a day
Especially like the internet, like on the iPhones or whatever, you have that app where you can just click order now and it'll
Yeah,
come right
and
to
there's
you.
there's even some video games now where you can type a command /pizza and it'll deliver one to your house.
as part of the game.
Yeah, it's some games like I know EverQuest did that. EverQuest 2, I think. It's just it was a partnership with Pizza Hut.
Yeah.
They're just trying to make getting pizza as easy as possible. And I just pulled up pizza.com. The average person, each person in America eats roughly 46 slices of pizza per year.
Per year.
Per year.
Okay.
That's it. That's on average. So that's like taking everyone.
That's people like
Yes,
near
that's
death
people-
and babies that were can't eat anything.
Baby,
so.
yeah, they don't account for
Yeah.
it's just people in hospice care, babies.
I would like to say, let's look at humans.
Yes.
That are thriving, can still amble and march, and they're not near death in either way. Because a baby is near death in reverse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's sort of the.
Unless they have Benjamin Button disease, in which case they are near death.
Yeah.
You are a silly goose. That's all I gotta
Thank you.
say.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
Dan, what do you got? What else you
What
got?
do I
coming up
got?
here?
Well, we have a wide array of facts. Here's one that I think is pretty incredible. So, the astronauts on the Apollo 11 mission received an $8 a day per diem for their mission to the moon. And I cannot, for the
To
life
spend
of
on
me,
what?
figure out why. Like, is that for spending money on space poker?
Yeah.
Did they
8
have
space bucks a day?
Yeah, like that's like let's say we're here for like 8 days. That's 64 space bucks. That's
Right.
money in the space bank.
Exactly.
But I can't was it for? Did they have a vending machine up there? Because if the gravity's off, you're just gonna like put your money in. Then the snack is gonna start falling down. And then it's gonna fall up to the top. And your
Isn't
snack's
it-
stuck up there.
Isn't it for when they land and go to the bar from Star Wars?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, once they go to
They
the,
need the money
the
for tipping.
cantina.
Yeah. I mean, duh, you guys.
Yeah, get some blue milk.
Yeah, but they're also getting paid normally. They're getting paid salaries.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
No.
But
They
the idea,
they work for tips.
the astronauts.
Yeah. They have to kickstart every mission.
Here's the thing about
They spend
that, though.
hours screen printing T-shirts to give out to their backers.
How great would that really be? NASA Kickstarter. Yeah, that is crazy. The idea of a per diem. Yeah, because where would you spend it?
And like it's so. I wonder. I know it's low because it was the time, and maybe they could just.
Yeah, actually, if you
They
adjust
also-
for whatever, that could be like $800 a day.
They
In
also
today dollars.
they also were deducted for room and board, so the government actually did charge them.
That's true.
The government charged them for the boarding.
Yeah, they're
You
like,
can
we're
only
giving you a
spend
place
it-
to stay while you do
You
this.
can only spend it on extra Tang packets and more astronaut ice cream.
That's what I'd blow all mine on, astronaut
Yeah.
ice cream. Come on, let's be real.
And if you're paying museum prices, then
Right,
you know,
it's
you're
gonna be-
you're gonna
it's
spend that
steep.
$8 in one fell swoop.
Yeah, it's true. That's crazy. That
Yeah.
is fascinating.
And
God, how dumb are NASA?
Right?
What a dumb
get
idea.
it together, NASA.
Space isn't cool at all.
Yeah, said Said no one
Said
ever.
nobody.
I gotta
ever.
say, I say that I have zero interest in going to space ever.
Are you more
you
concerned with
serious?
the Earth sciences?
I know you're joking, but seriously, like nothing terrifies me more.
Well, yeah, it's
Nothing
just an
than the
infinite
idea of
black
either
abyss.
going way up in space or super deep in the ocean.
Yeah.
Could not be less interested in those two things.
Really?
That's fair.
They're both horrifying, terrifying.
You don't want to go up into space.
I do not want to. You don't want to go to space, says the guy who just told me for 10 minutes he can't even be alone in his own house.
Okay.
But you're going to go up into the vast nothingness of space
Yeah,
and
but
be
the
cool
thing
with
is,
it?
the thing is,
Didn't
in
we
your
sign
house,
an NDA before we
in your-
started recording here?
Oh, I'm sorry. Am I telling secrets?
No,
Sorry.
in your house, people can hear you testing out bits and yelling out fun stuff. In space, no one can hear you.
And nobody can hear jokes in space.
That's right.
Very true. Okay, listen. All right.
Yeah.
If we're taking off the gloves here, no.
No, I
I get it.
I'm a wuss, but it's not that I'm not interested in what's going on. Yeah, okay, it's interesting. I personally don't need to go see it myself. You
That's
can go
fair.
there and
That's-
come back and tell me about it, and I'll listen and I'll be engaged, but, like, I'm not trying to go out there.
Well, that's why we're sending Lance Bass
right,
as our
right.
cultural ambassador to
Yes.
the cosmos.
And you have fun, Lance. You have fun
Yeah.
out there. I'm not going anytime soon. I don't want to scuba dive with you either.
So-
Would you? Here's a question though. Would you like how Richard Branson has those planes that go up to just
Right.
the atmosphere?
That rebel
If there was
billionaire.
like 9 people up in there, would you go up there?
But to me, isn't the only appeal of that like the weightlessness or something?
I think
Because you're not
so.
like seeing space.
Well, no, I think you'd
Because
also
you're not
get.
far enough.
I think you're supposed to be able to like see the Earth. Isn't that the whole point of it?
Oh,
Or
is
do you not-
that-
do you not achieve orbit? Is that
I thought.
Yeah, you're supposed to. You get a little bit of weightlessness, and
That's
then
what
you
I
see
thought
the
was
curvature
the
of the
appeal.
Earth.
Oh, okay.
So it's like the Tower of Terror at the very beginning, but with a little view.
Right.
Yeah.
I swear to God, I'm like not even joking. I thought the appeal of that was the kind of ride aspect of
Oh
it.
yeah, it's Star
Not-
Tours in real life.
Yeah, but not that you got far enough into space for it to be like space.
Yeah,
But no, I don't know. I'm not super jazzed about heights.
penultimate frontier.
Yeah. That's amazing. Totally. No, I'm not like super psyched about heights in general. So I don't know. I'm not that into it.
Fair enough.
Sorry, guys.
Well,
I just want to stay on Earth.
That's fine. Speaking of
Stop
things,
judging
speaking
me,
of
please.
things falling from great heights, speaking
Yes.
of terrifying things happening at great heights, did you guys know that a Japanese fishing boat sank because a Russian cargo plane once dropped a live cow from 30,000 feet? It hit the ship, fractured the hull, and the ship was scuttled.
Okay,
I-
hold on. Dial it back.
Okay.
Who dropped a
A
cow?
Russian cargo plane dropped a live cow from 30,000 feet up in the air onto a Japanese fishing boat, which was then scuttled.
Did they do it on purpose?
No.
No, it was
So-
on accident. And-
Was it
and-
like, let's see
here's-
what happens if we
yeah.
drop a cow on this?
No. Well, what happened was they had stolen a cow. The Russian crew had stolen a cow that wandered near their plane in a Siberian airfield, and they forced it onto the plane as like a joke because they're weird Russians.
Sure.
And once when they were airborne, the cow panicked because why would a cow ever be in a plane? And started rampaging through the cargo hold, causing the crew to panic because it was affecting the plane's stability because it's a very, you have to keep things balanced, everything has to be in its proper place. If you have a
Right.
giant cow rampaging through your plane, that's going to throw things off a little bit.
Right.
So they solved the issue by shoving the cow out of the hold while crossing a field over the Sea of Japan at 30,000 feet. A couple minutes later, you have a lactose-filled Jackson Pollock painting on your boat. Well, here, speaking of lies, this is a natural segue.
Okay.
Yeah.
Pinocchio. Scientists recently determined that Pinocchio could have only told 13 lies before his nose would have become so long as to break his neck.
Okay.
So, Pinocchio, created in 1883 by Italian author Carlo Collodi. He's famous for his nose doubling in size every time he tells a lie.
Correct.
And in the book, he only tells 3 lies. So, his nose doubles, but it's not, gets to a sizable...
What kind of wood was Pinocchio made out of? Because it was like balsa wood. I feel like the
I
weight
don't think it was
wouldn't matter.
balsa. This is a high-quality puppet designed to go on adventures
not
and be a
IKEA
real boy.
Pinocchio,
You're not going to make a real boy out of the same thing you make shitty airplanes out of.
Fair enough.
What the strongest wood is that koa wood, right? Like the
Perhaps.
wood that's got like the highest.
Density.
I think. Yeah, but that's
Yeah.
only found in Hawaii. It would
Yeah.
be like Hawaiian Pinocchio.
And Hawaii, to my knowledge, does not traffic in Pinocchios.
No, no creepy puppets in Hawaii.
But a man named Stefan Llewellyn of Leicester University's Center for Interdisciplinary Studies determined that Pinocchio's head weighed 4.18 kilograms, which is about 9.21 pounds.
I'm sorry. With how difficult it is to get a job teaching in academia, this is what this man is doing with his time.
Hey, there are academic journals that will take a wide variety of interesting subjects now. Look at Mechademia coming out of, I believe it's University of Minnesota. That is like all about pop culture bullshit and ephemera.
Yeah, but he's doing physics experiments about a puppet.
Yeah,
that doesn't
puppeteers
exist.
probably pay for this class.
That's
exactly.
They need credit hours.
Yeah, puppet truthers.
They've got all that fuck you puppetry money just burning a hole in their
They want
pockets.
to intern
Look who's pulling the strings now.
They want to intern at Henson Studios. They need to take this class.
So his nose weighs roughly 6 grams with an initial length of 1 inch. From this calculation, he was able to extrapolate that by the time it grew to 140 meters, the downward force exerted by his nose would cause his neck to snap, thus ruining Jiminy Cricket and Geppetto's evening. And basically, this works out to the 13th lie, the 13th time his nose doubled in size. Yeah. It just becomes too much for his neck to bear and just snap.
I'm not entirely familiar with the story. Can his nose retract at all?
Well, in the Disney movie,
yes.
I think it did.
Yeah.
When he was honest, it retracted.
Oh, okay.
But Honest John, the fox.
The fox.
No, I don't know. The Disney cartoon. There was there was, but I've never read the actual book. But if I guess he became human before it. He told 13 lies.
Oh, okay. Well, that makes sense.
So just don't.
Yeah,
because he didn't die horribly.
According to a random cha-cha question and answer, yes, when he tells the truth, his nose shrinks back to normal.
Oh,
thanks, cha-cha.
It shrinks all the way back to normal?
I don't know all the way.
So you could just tell like 12 lies, and then all of a sudden just tell one little truth.
One truth.
And then boom.
Yeah. You just got to be careful about slipping that truth in there before.
So just tell a truth every time you tell a lie just to be safe.
Pinocchio, do you like my sweater?
Yes.
Screams.
I mean, I don't not like it.
Yeah.
What if his nose made a noise? What if it made a noise like a slide of his Mortimer Marker.
Yeah.
I'm still angry that Stefan Llewellyn has a job.
Yeah.
Well, here's something. Okay, while we're talking about weird jobs and teachers and all of that stuff, and Stefan Llewellyn was a professor, and he was a teacher, obviously, and he figured this out. Here's a fun fact about another teacher, a gentleman by the name of Don Rawitsch. I'm saying that wrong, probably. He invented Oregon Trail. Now, I don't know if you guys are familiar with the game Oregon Trail. But I'm
familiar.
Oh, yeah.
I'm very familiar.
I played
with
a grueling pace.
He was a senior at Carleton College in Northfield, Minnesota, and he taught an 8th grade history class. He was also a teacher. He was a student teacher, albeit, though, and he used HP TimeShared Basic running on an HP 2100 mini computer to write a computer program that helped teach the subject. So essentially, a student teacher invented the game Oregon Trail. Rawitsch recruited 2 friends and fellow student teachers, Paul Dillenberger and Bill Heineman, to help. And it was the Oregon Trail debuted. He first introduced it to the class he was teaching on December 3rd, 1971. Oregon Trail has been around since 1971.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
Now they're up to like Oregon Trail 5 or something like that. I remember I bought one back when CompUSA was still a store.
I remember CompUSA.
And they introduced like some really shitty full motion video graphics to it as well. So spent all this time like kitting out my wagon, buying extra yokes, tongues, sets of clothing, all the stuff you're going to need for a nice fun-filled adventure on the trail. I'm out on the trail for all but 2 minutes when suddenly a little screen comes up that says, "You've been mauled to death by a mountain lion. Game over."
Mauled?
No,
that's a new one.
Yeah. Straight up murdered.
I think this is weird. I just played the emulator version probably 2 weeks ago, and it's mega janky.
Of course.
But I remember the enhanced version with the really kind of
bright
good looking.
colors.
Yeah, I think
when it wasn't just the black and green screen.
Yeah, it was like a CD-ROM thing.
Yeah.
I do remember. Do you remember that kind of grinding noise that
yes.
CD-ROM games would make?
Yeah.
And you just kind of sit there waiting for something to happen. But it was all if you tried to talk to somebody, it would take like 4 hours.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
but the
They never had
adorable
anything.
hunting sequences.
Yeah, those were great.
Shoot the cutest animals you've ever seen.
Yeah.
You could name all your kids, and then it'd be like so and so has dysentery.
Just stuff your wagon full of
You
X's
lose-
that you don't like.
Exactly.
You lose.
Yeah, ford it. Cock the wagon.
You lose 3 days.
Sorry, Becky.
When in doubt, always ford the river.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, my favorite is the pay an Indian
Pay-
5 sets of clothing.
Yeah,
That
pay the
there's-
engine.
There's some clothes horse Indian who just loves prairie outfits. Who's like, hey guys,
I cannot get enough of your
I
bonnets.
can't get enough.
You cannot carry this much meat.
Yeah.
Motherfucker, I'm still hunting.
Yeah, sorry, we just left a big old pile of meat back there,
Yeah.
so first come, first serve.
We
We
just
do
killed
not
all
use
of
every
the
part of the
buffalo.
buffalo.
That game was so fun.
It was really fun. It still is fun.
Yeah.
It still is really fun.
Yeah.
He-Man getting a burger
Yeah.
or whatever.
Well, I'm glad you brought up He-Man, because we're going to talk about Masters of the Universe.
Masters of the
So,
Universe.
in case you guys didn't know, it was Master of the Universe. In 1976, Mattel CEO Roy Wagner declined a request to produce a toy line of action figures based on characters from the George Lucas film Star Wars. A huge mistake by everyone's estimation. And after the trilogy turned out to be tremendously successful over the next couple of years, all the related merchandise was making like so much money. Mattel tried to launch several unsuccessful toy lines in response. One that did sort of hit, and I would say actually hit in a big way, was Masters of the Universe.
There's a subsection to that, though.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Well-
Which is how the Masters line came up, unless it's what you have there.
Is it about Conan?
Yeah.
What? Because I've read. We do have a bullet point here, but I've read I've up until when we were compiling this, I was completely under the impression that it was originally supposed to be Conan the Barbarian action figures, but the Conan movie was too violent and gory for kids to purchase.
Yeah, they
and all
had,
that.
if I understood it correctly, they had already built a series of prototypes. In fact, there's another line that another company did using the same molds and tooling based on a barbarian comic. A character with like a winged helmet and swords. But the Masters line, they pushed into this completely fantastical world that had elements of barbarians, but was also about magic and sorcery.
Yeah, so they could go like the creator Roger Sweet was one of the original designers. He created 3 prototypes to pitch to Mattel in that vein, because that way they could take it in any direction they wanted. Like you could go the barbarian route, you could go the sci-fi route, you could go the fantasy route, and they ended up merging them all together.
Pushing it all together in one big pile.
But then, so in 1980, the rights holders of the Conan the Barbarian character, they actually were negotiating toy rights with Mattel, and they had prototypes created, but when Mattel rolled out He-Man the following year, they sued because they're like, this is just a Conan ripoff. Yeah. What are you doing?
Yeah. But Mattel ended up actually winning.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Yeah, because there's not really prosecutable similarities between them.
Yeah, exactly.
Especially, Conan is such a long and old old story.
There's so many.
There's
Conan
a
books.
little bit of public domain on that, but it's.
But I wouldn't say back in 1980 by any.
I don't think it had run
no.
out. I don't think it had run out any of the statutes.
No, I think it's only recently that he's started to come back into public domain.
It's more about
Robert
the
E.
book.
Howard.
It's like book stuff.
Yeah.
Now, Masters of the Universe was actually groundbreaking because when they turned it into the cartoon, the animation series, it was one of the first children's cartoons in a long time that could show the hero actually punching people and fighting.
That's interesting.
Yeah, he very rarely does he actually use his sword to fight someone unless he's deflecting a laser. But it was one of the originators, and it also started the trend of if you're going to have a 22-minute commercial for toys, you have to have some sort of moral at the end, which G.I. Joe ended up taking up.
But that came from a relaxation in the laws about the way advertising worked and the way supportive commercial programming could actually be about a particular product. Like up until I think it was 77, there was a law against creating any kind of programming that was just advertising for an external line.
Yeah, well, that explains most of the
Especially
1980s.
for children, especially to shove, to air just at children.
Yeah. Yes.
It's nowadays it's everything's
well, if you just watch the XD network. You'll see a whole generation of kids who are really excited about the crudes.
Yes. Oh man, the barbarians that speak to me.
And then you have, perfect example. A previous guest, my buddy Cameron, he's one of the new Power Rangers.
Oh, cool.
And the actual, like the weapons and the robots they use in the show are the toys. Like they manufacture the toys first.
That's
wow.
And then they use the toys in the show. So that way,
breaks when he hits.
So that way, when
when
the kids go buy the toys, it's like they're using the
exact. Yeah.
As seen on TV.
Yeah.
Let's segue this slightly. At the end of every Robot Chicken, over the Stupid Buddy end card, you guys say "Stupid Monkey."
Yeah.
But I found a story of a very smart monkey. Well, actually, not a monkey, a baboon. A baboon called Jack the Signalman. So back in the late 1800s in Cape Town, South Africa, travelers who rode the Port Elizabeth Mainline Railroad saw something, a very interesting sight. It was the signalman operating the levers that set the signals for the control towers. It was actually a baboon named Jack. Now, Jack was a legitimate employee of the railroad. He belonged to a man named James Jumper Wide, who was signalman until he lost both his legs in an accident.
Doesn't Jumper Wide sound like a nickname?
Yeah, I would... I'm sure it's just
like
South African slang.
It's like a mafia man.
Yeah. Mafia porn star, maybe.
Jumper. 88 keys and Jumper Wide.
Don't look up Jumper Wide on Urban Dictionary. It's the takeaway from today's show. But he got the nickname Jumper because he had the tendency...
Jumper Wide.
Cut to everyone is Googling right now.
Oh, yeah. Filthy Jumper. So he got the nickname Jumper because he used to leap from train car to train car when he was just working on the rail yard. One day, he leaped from one car to a moving train, fell underneath it, had both his legs severed. Obviously, he was pretty devastated. He made himself 2 peg legs, but it sucks as the late 1800s. No one wants to talk to that dude with peg legs. He went to the marketplace one day where he saw a baboon pulling an ox cart. And he was blown away by this. The baboon was very intelligent, just handled himself nicely in public. Had good social skills, a real chill baboon. And then he persuaded the merchant whose ox cutter it was to part with the baboon. The pair developed a deep friendship. They lived together, a weird odd couple type situation.
Aww.
Jack would pull him to work every day in a little wagon, and when they get to the top of the hill, he would jump in and they would ride the wagon down the hill, hopefully not crash.
Yeah.
And they would work together.
This is a beautiful story.
It's like very inspiring for...
This is the Disney version of Any Which Way But Loose.
This is like the Dunstan checks in equivalent of like the Continental Railroad.
All right, we're thinking Dunstan checks in. With a little bit,
but with
just a hint of Rise of the Planet of the Apes.
And tons of apartheid. So Jumper would work as sort of like supervisor, and Jack, the baboon, would jump around, pulling the levers that he told him to. They had a whole system worked out. He never once made a mistake. One day, a fancy lady was riding the train, saw this baboon pulling the levers. She freaked out, contacted the authorities. They did not believe her at first because it sounds preposterous even then.
How dare they call Jumper a baboon?
Exactly. Like, he has no legs.
Yeah.
And so they finally went to investigate. Jumper and Jack were immediately fired, but they decided to give him a test. He passed it with Jumper. Jack the baboon passed the test with flying colors. And they were so impressed that they wound up giving him a government job, monthly rations every month, an official employment number, and he worked for the railroad until he died.
The cheapest employee they've ever enslaved.
I would say impressed into servitude.
Yeah.
To completely derail, pun intended. Here's a little fact submitted by a listener, Andrew, at Wardster _ on Twitter. I tried fact checking this. I couldn't actually find actual written evidence, but it makes sense. It has to do with web links. Now, most links on the
hyperlinks when you see them.
Hyperlinks when you see them on the internet, they're blue. Now, when you click them, they turn purple majority of the time. And according to Andrew, the reason because web links turn purple after they've been clicked is because blue plus red equals purple. So once you read them, they turn purple. Once you click a link, it turns purple.
Those web developers.
R-E-A-D.
Yeah, R-E-A-D.
Yeah, got it.
Blue plus read.
Yeah, blue plus read.
Blue plus having red.
Oh, Margot. That's the whole concept behind Reddit.
Why is the
Yeah, but let's be honest. Anybody that can program hyperlinks, they deserve to be a little pompous.
Exactly.
Anybody who's speaking binary, let them have that. You know what I mean?
Let's sort of listen to a blowing more of a deep Azure.
0011 0011 101010.
Oh my God. Decimal code. That's my wife.
Todd, please. 100111 Todd.
010011 the aristocrats.
Now leaving Nerdist.com.